Hey there, this is your teacher, Mr. H, and you're watching History in a Hoodie. Today's episode is about forms of government, where we'll learn all about the difference between autocracies and democracies. I can't wait to find out, so let's get this show started. What are we learning about today? The standard for today's lesson asks the students to explain citizen participation in autocratic and democratic governments, including the role of citizens in choosing leaders of Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Before we start, let's go over some vocabulary for today's lesson. An autocracy is a government ruled by a single individual. A democracy is rule by all, where citizens vote for their leaders. A republic is a representative democracy, and a representative is a leader chosen by election to make government decisions on behalf of the citizens. This lesson is pretty straightforward. You must learn the difference between an autocracy and a democracy. An autocracy means one person is in charge, and a democracy means everyone is in charge. Simple. An autocratic government has a single ruler. That individual may be called several different names: king, queen, czar, czarina, chief, great or supreme ruler, generalissimo, emperor, lord, duke, baron, earl, count, or even sometimes president. They think we don't see through their trickery. This single ruler has the ability to do anything they want: make laws, collect taxes, and spend money without consequences. Autocrats typically rule until death, so there's no incentive for the ruler to work to improve the country. Until at least the people start calling for the king's head. The most common forms of autocratic governments today are absolute monarchies and dictatorships. A democracy means literally rule by the people. The people rule by holding frequent elections to determine who will run their government and represent their wants and needs at the highest levels. In a true democracy, the people would vote on every issue brought up to the government, but this is highly burdensome, as thousands of laws are considered every year. Instead, most democracies are republics, or representative democracies, where the voters choose leaders to write, read, and vote on the laws. So what? How do governments affect the people, nations, and regions? Let's take a look at 3 Southwest Asian countries and see how their governments affect the country. Israel is a parliamentary democracy. The country has a single governing body, the Knesset, which includes 120 elected representatives. The representatives have to run for re-election every 4 years, so if they make a bad decision during their term, their people will vote them out of office. As a result of their form of government, the citizens have many freedoms, such as freedom of expression, freedom to assemble and protest, freedom of speech, religion, and education. Turkey is also a parliamentary democracy like Israel. Their governing body, the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, has 600 elected representatives also on 4-year terms. Unlike Israel, the government has a history of cracking down on freedoms through constitutional restrictions and laws. For example, the freedom of the press to print news is supposedly guaranteed in the country, but the government arrests journalists who print oppositional articles frequently. Saudi Arabia is not a democracy. It is an autocratic monarchy. The country is ruled by a single individual from the family Saud. And this guy's title is amazing. He is called His Royal Highness King Salman of the House of Saud, custodian of the 2 holy mosques. The only thing his title is missing is Mother of Dragons, and then he might as well rule the world. King Salman and his family have ruled the country for nearly 90 years, and they claim their right to rule comes from their God. People in Saudi Arabia vote, but their vote has no effect or meaning, and people are often jailed for criticizing the royal family. This country is a major departure from the democracies of Israel and Turkey. Now what? What am I going to do with this information? If you had the power to do whatever you wanted and could influence the lives of everybody in your classroom right now, what would you do first? Would you make everybody give you their lunch money? Would you force everybody to say nice things about you or always follow your rules? If you think about it, an autocratic ruler isn't all that different from a school bully. Now think again about that first thing you wanted to do when you got power. You still have your power, but first you have to get 160 other people to agree with you before you can do what you want. Do you think you're still going to be able to spend everybody's lunch money on a 3-story tall chocolate fountain for your personal break room in the former teacher's lounge? The great thing about democracy is that when many minds come together to make a decision instead of just one, no single person becoming corrupt can cause the citizenry to lose their rights. And that is a real problem. Power breeds corruption. We have to keep an eye on our leaders, in our city, state, and national government, for corrupt behaviors. There's an old joke about how politicians are like diapers. They both should be changed frequently because they both eventually start to stink. Wow, so learning about government types is really important for us to understand. I'm glad we learned it today. Are you ready for some review questions? The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is best described as... In September 2017, women in Saudi Arabia gained the ability to get driver's license. How did Saudi women gain this right to drive? Joe lives in a country where there is one ruler. Citizens have very little participation and nothing happens unless the ruler says so. The government decides what is shown on TV and what is published in newspapers. Which government does Joe most likely live in? Israel is governed by basic laws instead of a constitution. The 120-seat Knesset is the country's parliament. The prime minister is head of government and is nearly always selected from the largest party in parliament. Based on the information in the passage above, Israel would be best described as which of the following? Prior to 2017, the leader of the government of Turkey was selected by popular vote. Currently, the leader under military rule has nearly unlimited power. World leaders are concerned that Turkey might change from a blank form of government to a blank form of government. I hope all of you learned a lot from today's episode of History in a Hoodie about autocratic and democratic governments. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Just kidding, I don't care about that stuff, but do make sure you study this lesson. Bye now.